Is it pronounced animal?
Anima.
What is it?
Anima.
Animal.
Anima.
It doesn't matter.
Welcome back to WD Magiccast for the week of June 4th, 2023. This is episode 225. WD Magiccast, the show about the mouse, the Marvels, the galaxy, and beyond. I'm your host, Matthew Gracon. In this week's show, we're joined by not one, but two Leonards. Emily and Matthew Leanord both join us to discuss and talk about Muppets Mayhem, the Disney Plus show, and the album, the first studio album of the Electric Mayhem. This is a historic event, and we get down to a lot of things, including maybe someone trying to keep track of how many times we go off topic. Join in the madness, join in the craziness. That is WD Magiccast and talking about the Electric Mayhem. We'll be back after these words from our friends and sponsors.
Well, hello there. I hope you're enjoying this week's episode of the Disney Marvels podcast. If you have a little bit of free time and you'd like to check out something a little bit different, I encourage you to listen to the Chat Disney podcast. My name is Mercedes and I am one half of the Chat Disney podcast. Myself and my friend Tash are both based in the UK and we give a female British view on all things Disney, from parks, movies and even more. Check out the Chat Disney podcast at chatdisney.co.uk.
And now, on with the show.
Can you picture this? A year ago, Matt, Gracon, and I are sitting here doing a podcast, and the news comes in. They're gonna do a new Muppets series, but there's no Kermit, there's no Fozzie, there's no Piggy, there's no Gonzo. Nah, this is gonna be a Muppet series different from any Muppet series. This is gonna focus on the Electric Mayhem, the Muppets Mayhem, it's called. And it premiered just a couple weeks ago on Disney Plus. And tonight, we are going to be talking about that show. So, bringing the mayhem is me, Matt Leanord, your usual host, Matthew Gracon.
Present.
What? Yes.
Present.
With an exclamation. And to make sure that there's not too much mayhem, my daughter Emily is here to keep track. She's got a little clicker. And she's going to keep track of how many times Matt and I jump to other topics.
Pre-show, the record 10.
We're up to 10 topics that we discussed before we...
You've already heard a minute of the show so far. We're already off topic 10 times.
Yeah. 4 of those were the same conversation.
No,
and
the
other 5 were 2 completely different conversations.
And the other 9 were actually all one conversation.
And one of the conversations was about her and her clicker.
Okay, well, that deserves another click.
Yes.
So let's talk Muppets Mayhem, guys, because I've been so excited about this. I've been dying for this show to premiere, and ever since the show premiered, I've been dying to get here on the podcast and talk to you guys because I liked it.
I thought you were going to
let's start off with one. My wife goes to me today, well, what are you guys actually recording about? I said, well, what else? The Muppets. I mean, the Muppets. Really? I said, there's two shows that Matt Leanord said that he insisted on talking about this year. One was the Muppets and the other one is Ahsoka. And that the Muppets is out now, so we need to talk about it. And so that's one conversation. The other conversation, and we're not off topic because this is all about Muppet Mayhem.
No,
I know.
I was fixing it.
Oh, okay.
Is that this is one of the first. This is one of the more major shows that Disney Plus did it differently and dropped every episode the same day.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is why we should only be in episode 3 or 4, but we're able to talk about the whole thing now.
Then. But they did that with Muppets Now too, didn't they? They all of
Did they?
6 of those dropped on the same day.
Maybe.
I think they did. I've still only seen like the first 4.
That was the 4 that they let us see. It's been, what, 3 years?
One day I'll watch them, maybe.
Watch them while you can.
Good point. So,
see that.
going there, huh? This is going to be one of those shows.
Let me tell you about those shows.
Muppets. Let's talk Muppets. Muppets Mayhem.
My phone was just actually playing Muppets Mayhem.
We were listening to it.
I listened to it on my drive today, just to refresh it. I actually went back and rewatched the first episode again, also to kind of refresh things. And let's start off with the theme song, "Rock On."
Sure.
So good.
What?
She said, so good.
I love
Oh, I thought you said overrated. I'm like, what?
No!
No.
No.
I was going to say it's probably one of the best theme songs out there.
You think so?
One of. I mean, it's in the upper echelon of
Okay.
TV series theme songs. I never skipped the intro.
Yeah.
Because I loved it.
Did you notice? You know what I loved? What I loved about the intro, and I don't know if you caught this, was that they rotated the puppeteers' names.
I might have subconsciously noticed that it's like the
the
order was always different.
Alphabetical order by last name, and they rotate. So in the very first episode, it's Bill Beretta first, and then Leslie Carrera, who plays Penny. Bill Beretta, who's Dr. Teeth. Leslie Carrera, who plays Penny. Dave Goelz, who plays Zoot. And then down to Matt Vogel. And then like in episode 2, Leslie gets top billing, and then Dave, and then Matt Vogel, Bill Beretta, and they rotate through every episode. And I just thought that was really great. That I mean, because you really could have. It's Muppets Mayhem. You really Bill Beretta is executive producer on the show. You could have just put Bill first and let it be his, and even just claim alphabetical order. But they really let everybody be. They treat it as an ensemble. And I respect that.
Well, I mean, it goes as Dr. T said, there is no front man to the band. We are all the front men to this collective group.
Even though the logo is his giant mouth.
Yes. And his name's, etched in neon above it.
Sure.
So. No, but they switched out the drums to the one with just the wave lines.
Yeah. And it's also fun if you go sort of frame by frame through the opening. There's all sorts of things, like the marshmallows are in there, Zoot's camera is in there, the bunny is in there.
The bunny shows up for Animal.
The symbol that they give Moog in the first episode is in there. The can of beats that Baby Animal is clanging together in episode 6 is in there. There's all sorts of, I think the hot sauce, Penny's hot sauce, is in the introduction. It's all sort of, and then, the usual lava lamps and whatever. And there's just so much going on visually. You have to literally go frame by frame to watch it. But it's really neat to, I love that sort of the best Muppet productions are ones where you have to watch multiple times and you catch something each time you watch it. And that to me is like, okay, that's the sign of a good Muppet opening, is that there's all this stuff that's just kind of.
And that's just in the 30-second opening.
In the 30-second opening.
I was even noticing that whenever I went back and watched the first episode again today, and I didn't realize there's the part where Zoot takes the picture of Animal and Nora and sticks it on in the bus. I completely missed that in the first watch show. And when he does that, all these other pictures, I'm like looking at the pictures. I'm like, wait a second, what's that? And what's that? And, just all the stuff that they kind of put through there.
Yeah. Well, the documentary at the opening, the Ryan Seacrest thing at the opening, that's all footage from the 2016 performance at Outlands. I think it was also the performance from Macy's, the Macy's parade.
Yep, the Macy's.
Macy's is in there. The one that shocked me was they used footage from Muppets in Walt Disney World is in there, and I'm like,
Yes.
that's a tease to Muppet fans. And then they slipped it in. Somebody pointed this out to me that in the stack of videotapes in episode 4, one of the tapes is marked Muppets in Walt Disney World.
Yes, it is.
That's an extraordinary tease to Muppet fans. I'm just saying, like, come on.
And yet you haven't released it on Disney Plus yet.
Put it on Disney Plus. You have it. We know you got it. Stop holding out on us.
In the archives. Actually, no, it's in the basement. It's in your in your other pants?
Oh, you beat me to it. I don't have no other pants.
Oh. So let me leave it up to you guys. Do you want to rate this now? Give it overall rating, so in case if people haven't watched it yet before we get into any spoilers.
10.
10.
9.5.
I was going to give it a 9.5.
The 0.5 deduction.
We'll talk as the show goes on. I got one. I got a 9.5. Maybe 9.25, honestly, if I'm being honest.
Ooh, wait, we keep going down.
But no, it's a good, well, it's because you guys gave me time to think. That's no good.
Thinking is dangerous.
By the end of this show, I'm going to hate Muppets.
This is the worst thing ever.
You're going to be getting ideas by the end of the show? Thinking?
No, it'll be 1 o'clock in the morning. I will have no idea.
Better not be 1 o'clock in the morning.
You've never done a podcast with us this late, have you?
No.
Okay. You're going to be
Wait,
reading
assuming
these
he
thoughts that you volunteered to do this.
My
You've assumed that he has ideas to begin with.
Hey. What were we talking about?
A rating.
Right. PG-13. I'm
So,
PG-13.
out of 10, what are you solidifying on?
What am I solidifying on? What?
Yes. What's
That's a bit personal.
what rating are you going officially with?
I'm gonna give it. Oh yeah, I forgot. We do the Matt Leonard rating on this. We don't actually rate it out of things. I rate fictitiously. I forgot that I do that.
Okay, so how many bunny rabbits?
Yeah. Oh, see, I was
Polaroid pictures. How many Polaroid pictures do you give it?
Polaroid pictures. I give it. Yeah. I'm gonna give it 12 marshmallows. 12
marshmallows.
12 moldy marshmallows, expired marshmallows.
Out of
10. Out of 10 stars, I'm giving it 12. Out of 10 Polaroid photos, I'm giving it 12 expired marshmallows. Yes. I forgot I have my own rating system on this show.
Yep, I wrote that down. Got it. 12 moldy marshmallows out of 10 Polaroids. Got it.
Polaroids. 1 bunny and 1 bunny makes 2 bunnies. Makes 3 bunnies.
Okay, and you're still good with the 10?
You say 10?
I'm gonna go down to like a 9.5.
Okay. Wow.
Oh.
See, we gave her time to think.
One thing.
The fool I've been thinking, a dangerous pastime I know.
It's the same
It's a
thing.
very teenager-y thing.
Oh. See, now I'm curious. What's your teenager complaint?
We're gonna have
Maybe
to find
we'll talk
out.
about later in the show.
Yeah.
We'll talk about it.
Yeah, let's start the show by complaining about Muppets.
You know what these kids just don't
Yeah.
understand nowadays.
I loved Muppets Mayhem. I was so thrilled when this had me at hello, because when they announced the show last year in the press release, they cited all of it was literally, Muppets Mayhem will star Bill Beretta as Dr. Teeth, Matt Vogel as Floyd Pepper, Eric Jacobson as Animal. And they gave credit to all of the puppeteers, which Disney has been very reluctant to do and really hasn't done and really hasn't given any credit to the puppeteers. So I was thrilled to see their names appear in the press and in the PR for it. And I applaud that. And I went, all right, Disney might have a handle on this.
They went a very different direction than the past couple projects that they have done.
Good?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, obviously. It's been very much about the characters and the puppeteers. So like they had at D23 they had the Mayhem come out, but it wasn't just the Mayhem by a shroud. It was
you could see Matt,
Bill, Mark, everybody's in pose, and then you had the characters sitting in the chairs.
Did you see that? That was so funny. I don't think you saw this. They did an interview. Taj Mowry interviewed Janice and Floyd and Animal. And I don't remember what it was, but there was something came up. Animal sitting there. First of all, he's sitting there and they're like, it's Taj Mowry. And Animal keeps referring to him as Moog. No, I'm Taj. Moog. No, Taj. Moog. And then at one point, I don't remember what comes up, but the subject of playing comes up. And Animal gets really excited. He goes, tag, tag. And Eric Jacobson gets up from where he's lying on the floor, puppeteering Animal. And suddenly he stands up. Animal runs over, tags Taj Mowry, goes, tag, tag, and just goes running out of the room with Animal.
I love that.
It was just absolutely chaotic. And you can tell, this was Eric just in the moment doing it. And they went on with the interview, whatever. And 4 or 5 minutes later, he comes running back in. Tag, tag, tag. He comes running back in. He sort of pretzels himself back into the position he was. And Mel just goes, night, night, and falls asleep for a few minutes. And it was great. It was so chaotic and fantastic. They got it. This is the Muppets being what the Muppets. The Muppets should be a little, just slightly chaotic like that. Spontaneous, yeah. And in the moment, and it was true to the character. And I thought this is something. They've got something here.
And we'll get into this in a second because that's what sold me in the first episode was when they did a couple of things like that.
This is the first, and Emily, you've heard me say this is the first time in a long time where I felt Animal was in character.
He wasn't scripted Animal.
Yeah, I've had a real problem with Animal over the years, and we've talked about this on the show before. That I've watched the slow decline of Animal, where he's gotten more and more scripted, and the lines have gotten longer and longer in actual dialogue. And a part of that is, and this actually dates back to, this goes back 25 years. This goes back to when Frank had stepped away and was just voicing Animal. It wasn't as fresh and it wasn't as new because Frank wasn't there and in the space. He couldn't just be on his feet and ad-lib, and so it'd have to be planned. And when Eric Jacobson took over, they kept writing for Animal, and it's gotten worse. And I was so thrilled to see stuff here that just seemed in the moment, and I'm sure a lot of it ad-libbed or very, very. Animal never said more than a word or two, very, very monosyllabic, which is what Animal should be. Yeah, yes. So you're right. That was one of the things that absolutely hooked me on the show.
They really, you get a sense that the performers were just 110% into this and given a lot of range of, these characters best, here you go. And I think that a lot of that stems from having Bill Beretta
as a producer. Absolutely.
Yeah. Absolutely. Kind of in charge of the whole of this. Because just some of the stuff that was coming out of this, it was just so off the wall and goes, but this is what it should be.
And they said there's a story. They said the cliffhanger in the end of the first episode where they're actually the van is hanging off a cliff. There was supposed to be a longer sequence there.
Oh, okay.
They were supposed to go like off the cliff and into the ocean and all these things, and they were in the writers' room, and they started like just pitching all these. Oh, and then the van does this, and then this happens, and then they're in the ocean and they're swimming and this and this, and Bill was the one in the room to go, okay, and how are you going to do this with puppets? And he started to talk through what that would entail. Like what would have to happen in order to do that with the characters, and like within 5 minutes they had gone over budget. They're like, well, maybe we won't have them roll off the side of the cliff and do this, that, and the other thing. They said it was helpful to have a puppeteer because they could suggest something, and he could say, yes, we can do this easily, or no, we can't do that easily, or we can do that, but we've got to fudge it a little.
So just in that instance, you go back to the unproduced, the most expensive Muppet movie ever made.
Yeah.
Yeah, that definitely helped, because in what they ended up with, I thought was brilliant with the literal cliffhanger, and was it Floyd going, "Oh, Disney Plus will love this."
Yeah.
That sort of self-referential
Yeah,
stuff.
which came back
always did
a few episodes later too.
Yeah.
All right, so before we get any further into it, if you haven't watched Muppets Mayhem, I don't know why they didn't just call it Electric Mayhem, but Muppets Mayhem, yet.
Because I think that makes sense, because you and I know what the Electric Mayhem.
Well, this is true. And that's the obvious reason why they did that. But.
Yeah, so I mean, it's just like so that you know what you're getting into.
Yes. Unlike this episode. If you haven't watched it yet, pause here, go watch the episodes, enjoy them, come back and go, you guys are absolutely right.
Yes.
If you have watched them, continue listening along and enjoy the mayhem.
Yeah. So what are we talking about next?
What before I forget about it. So the bit that kind of got me sold was whenever they get to Nora's sister's house. I keep forgetting her name.
Hannah.
Hannah, that's right. Hannah's house, and Nora opens up the door, and there's Animal holding the flowers that he ripped out of her garden. He's like, I forget what did he say. It's like flowers or Nora.
What's her name? Nora.
Yeah, Nora. And she's like, oh, okay. And everyone else comes walking in, and then a few moments later, where's Dr. Teeth? Oh, well, he saw the hot tub and going to the whole hot tub explanation, and he's out there. She finds him in the hot tub. That whole bit. I just loved the hot tub bit for whatever reason, because it was just so absurd. It was so.
The show again had me right at the beginning, because the first thing is there's that great montage.
The concert was brilliant.
The concert, and they cut back and forth between them giving a concert and then them like partying on the beach, where the characters just look fantastic. And then in there's that very quick montage of everybody there that you show them riding in the van. And it's, Dr. Teeth driving, and, they're switching where they all are in the van. And it's Dr. Teeth driving, and then Floyd driving, and then Janice driving, and Lips driving, wherever. And then it gets to Animal driving, and the steering wheel comes off. And he just.
Well, that was the second time around. The first time around, it was just him driving. The second time around was him taking the steering wheel off and handing it to Floyd.
I laughed, and I thought, this is great. This is the Muppets. And then within 2 minutes of that, they do the Ryan's the sort of look back video, which I thought did a great job of setting up the characters.
Yes.
And you have the interviews of them, and Animal's riding on the boom mic, and I thought that's like, this is it. This is what this show should be. This is what the Muppets should be. It should just be chaos and fun. And
they were smart enough to not only just to take that bit, but just go to that one extra step. Oh, and to our boom operator.
Who's
Frank or whoever it was. Yeah. we wish it was speedy recovery. So yes, Yeah, it was just brilliant. Getting back to like the hot tub, it's like he's sitting there with the Mai Tai. He's like, I don't even know where you got that from, and just without missing a beat, a couple seconds later, he offers her a Mai Tai, and he's holding two now. Where did you get that from? But they didn't like go into any explanations. It's just it
just happens, and you accept that this is what the world is.
Right.
We've talked about that on like previous episodes with like Star Wars and Clone Wars and Dave Filoni.
Right.
Like with Ahsoka and her two lightsabers.
You just accept
you never get the story behind that. You just accept
that this is what the world is. Yeah.
Yeah. And they follow it up with the joke after that, which I'm glad it's in there, because it's like, we are not going to dumb it down to, the Muppets is not about children. It is for adult entertainment as well. However, they brought up the fact that, can you pass me a bathing suit? So it's like, we're not, it's a kid's thing. It is more, a little more out there.
Right. And yet you can watch it with you. It's a family show.
It's a family show, but
yet there are gags that are going to go, over a 5-year-old's head.
Right.
Yeah.
I wish I was 5.
Okay.
Do you really? So, and then she walks in and there's a house party going on. I just walked out of the house and where's all this going on? And then jump right in with the cameos of Billy Corgan and a few other people. And of course, Trejo, has to make his contractual appearance
in a Muppet film or Muppet project. And I liked that because of the nature of the show, none of the cameos felt forced.
No.
Every cameo, everybody who appeared on screen, even if I didn't know who they were, and because I am old and square and dull, and don't know who half the music scene is, it didn't bother me that I didn't know who I wasn't sitting there going, who is this? I could get the quick idea of who that person was, enough to know, okay, fine. And all of the cameos felt like they belonged, or nothing felt like it was forced into the show or just for the sake of having a cameo.
Well, exactly. I mean, too bad they left Sir Paul McCartney hanging, but yeah, that's besides the point.
Well, this is probably jumping ahead a bit, but not as much as you think, because on the soundtrack,
I know on the soundtrack is
Star is playing the drums on We Are One.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that I did not know.
Cameo of the entire series.
Yeah, they actually did get a Beatle to do. I would love to know how that came about, but yeah,
lips.
Yeah, right. Lips.
It was all lips.
Ringo Starr for the. It's on the track We Are One. Ringo Starr is the drummer.
I love that song and I hate that song at the same time.
Really?
Yes.
Why?
Because towards the end, it's like we ran out of words. We are one, we are one, we are one. We are one, we are one, we are one, we are one. We are one, we are one.
It's catchy though, it's growing on me.
Yeah. But musically, it's beautiful. And Matt does a fantastic job singing it.
His vocals in this entire series are...
all of them.
Everybody, yeah. But he's so good with Floyd. And as a lifelong Jerry Nelson fan, it's sort of a relief to be able to say, like, okay, I said this to Emily earlier before doing the show tonight, that Floyd, and I've said this here on the program, that Floyd is the Muppet that to me is the most real. He exists.
Yeah.
And that starts with Jerry Nelson. That's everything that Jerry did with the character. And Matt has done such a fantastic job of honoring that Floyd is still real to me. He still exists. And I can watch Floyd on the Muppets, and I'm not judging Jerry versus Matt. It's Floyd. Floyd is real.
He's got the walk down. He's got just the mannerisms, the eye movements.
Yeah.
I felt with a lot of them. The characters felt right again.
And some of the stuff they did with Floyd, now that having watched Muppets Mayhem, Floyd is even more real to me because there are 2 episodes that and then there are 2 individual episodes, and then there are a couple things throughout the series that I just felt gave the character even more depth and to him and made him even more real for me.
Like his initial place of work, the record shop.
Yeah. Yes. For those who didn't catch it, there's a little nod to Jerry Nelson there as Floyd works at Jerry's Tunes.
Yes. As soon as I saw that, I thought of you.
As soon as I saw it, I thought of Jerry Nelson.
Well, but I thought,
yeah.
I'm like, oh, I know who would appreciate this. Emily.
Yes.
You'd appreciate it, I'm sure.
Right now.
So
Yeah,
we babbled on about the show, but
we should sort of set expectations for this show. We're not ignoring Emily. We're just recording very late at night, and Emily is usually fast asleep at this point.
And I just had a school dance,
and she just had a school
I'm very
dance.
tired.
So she might not be on this show. She's sitting here. I've taken the clicker from her.
How did you have the school dance? Was it on a sandwich? Did you have it a la carte?
I had it at the school.
How did you get the school dance? How did you have the school dance? And
I've seen a rubber band.
That's a tough to get a whole building to dance like that.
I'm so done.
Did you teach the school to do the Macarena, or was it like the twist? Was it a line dance?
I'm so done.
Was it like a tap dance? A tap dancing school would be pretty cool.
I think that would be awesome. A tap dance in school.
No kidding.
Did you do a shuffle?
That's like 5 different ones right there.
Hold on, we'll just click it for you at this point.
Yeah. You were about to ask her a question. I'm sorry.
Well, I want to get her take on it. Yeah. So someone who's, well, by family nature, you've grown up with the Muppets.
Yes.
But not in the same way that your father and I grew up with the Muppets.
Yeah.
So seeing something like this.
I think it was for the younger, like newer generation of kids. I think it was very beneficial to have this Muppets because while it's not like up to date, it is still in like our era. It does, I think I've said this before, it does a very good job of you're doing my puzzle.
No, I'm not. Sorry.
It does a very good job of like combining the 60s, 70s.
70s, thank you.
The 70s.
Yep.
70s, thank you.
The 70s vibe of the Mayhem, and yet the recent vibe of kind of the newer technology. And I love how that clashes, and I love kind of how I love just the feel that gives, and I find that's a very easy way to draw in your younger audiences and to slightly make them more intrigued.
And I think what's really good there is it's not preachy. It's not there isn't a where you go analog is better than digital or digital is better than analog. It's how those two
they can mesh.
How those two
work together.
Those, and that's a really interesting. I think that's kind of what the series is about.
Yeah.
I also love the fact that they do kind of refer to the fact that the band has been around for 50 years old, and that they leave them kind of ageless at the same time. They sort of ignore the fact that, you know, if they were in their 20s 50 years ago, they should all be in their 70s now, but they don't treat them that way. They're just a band that's been around for a long time.
Just an ageless band, rock band.
Yeah, because that's what they are. They're timeless.
Yes, they are. Even though Dr. Teeth now has his glasses again.
Dr. Teeth has always had glasses.
That operated like that? I thought at one point they were painted on.
No. Gonzo had eyelids that were painted on.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking of.
That's what you're thinking of. Dr. Teeth has always had. And actually, the first Floyd puppet had glasses that he had like really weird eyes that didn't quite work. The original Floyd puppet was different.
No. Speaking of Dr. Teeth, they made reference to the arms.
Yeah, I loved that. The referencing the fact that his arms go as far as they do.
Mm-hmm. Are they supposed to do that?
The original puppet, yes.
Yeah.
Jim ditched that fairly early on.
And yet they bring it back 40 years later.
Mm.
So as far as the music selection, Emily, how does someone of...
Gosh, the music, I am a very musical person, and I absolutely love the music on this show. Dad has said it has a very natural vibe for like the majority of the musical sequences. You get a very natural feeling going into them, and that is so amazing, and it can be so difficult to not make those feel forced.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Give extreme credit to like whoever pulled that off.
Yeah. Like all the music, all the songs.
Yeah.
It's not like, hey, we're going to do a musical number now. It feels very real to that moment and organic to that moment.
I think
Like the actual songs that they picked, the ones that they covered.
Yeah, well, like putting them where they fit, how they fit into the show. She's talking about.
Yeah.
Like when Janice just suddenly breaks into True Colors, it's the perfect song for that moment. It's the perfect song for that moment, and it feels like a real natural moment, a real natural thing for Janice to just stand up and start singing that. And the idea, I think they sort of build the idea that the characters, particularly in the third episode where Floyd's like, I don't know how to say this. I don't know how to say what I'm saying. And they're like, look, just speak from your heart. Instead of saying what he's saying, he sings. And that's what Janice does too in episode 2. She doesn't say what she's thinking. She sings what she's thinking because they're musicians and this is how they think. This is how they express themselves. This is how they express their emotions. And then even later on when it's Floyd and Dr. Teeth, it comes down to Floyd bringing Dr. Teeth back by singing. It's how they're musicians and this is how they express themselves. And it's all done in a very organic way that doesn't feel forced. I was nervous about whether they'd be able to pull that off, but they did a great job.
They did.
Yeah.
And it wasn't all just Dr. Teeth singing or just Floyd. They had Janice come in, and so they kind of rotated.
Yeah.
Yeah. Each of the band's vocalists had songs.
Yep.
Yeah.
And more than just like, okay, you get one, you get one, you get one. It's like, okay, you get one, here's a duet, and they really spread it around.
Mm.
And again, the music, musical production end of it, it's not cheap. It feels like a real album that you would go out and buy from any. Well, but an album that you would buy from any like mainstream artist.
Yeah.
If you were going to buy out a Tina Turner album.
My copy of the album was right in front of it. Right behind it was Queen. And I thought, well, that's just right. That's exactly.
That is completely appropriate.
Perfect. Somebody at Target knows what they're doing.
So,
and while we're talking about the music, we should mention that number 1 on the Billboard charts for kids music, which is the first time that any Muppet album has reached number 1 on the Billboard charts in any category.
Wow.
Yeah. So good for them. I hope that gives Disney reason to do more. Because if they do it at this level, of quality, I will definitely watch it. I hope that everything Disney does with the Muppets from this point going forward. I would hope this would put a kind of a big magnifying glass on Bob Iger's desk and say, "Oh, this is how we should have been doing it all along. This is how we need to proceed going forward." Yeah.
Because this is the right tone, the pacing,
the humor,
the off the wall kind of tongue in cheek. Some of the humor
had heart, which
I was not expecting how much heart this would have.
The Muppets has had this much heart to it. It was fantastic. I got emotional during some of the episodes.
Yeah.
The point, again, here's a big spoiler one. Janice is talking about the sisterly relationship.
Right.
Yeah.
between Hannah and Nora, and then she just, Hannah's just like, all right, I get it. Between this and that, and she's like, no, I know this from personal experience, and here's why. And she drops the bombshell about her sister.
Right.
And I don't know what I was doing at the moment, but I just stopped and just was like taking back. I knew from an interview that I heard on the D23 podcast that they did with the Muppets, that I knew about Dr. T's parents coming and Janice talking about her sister, but they didn't tell you in what context all that happened. I just, this is before I saw those episodes, so I knew that was coming up at some point. But whenever it came out in that kind of format, that it was, I have a sister, I don't know where she is, we don't talk anymore, don't be like us.
I think
go
ahead. Finish
yeah, no, just like it hits you hard.
Yeah. I think it does what a good sitcom should do, which is it moves all the characters forward and keeps them all right where they are at the same time.
Yeah.
You now have places you can go with Floyd and with Animal and with Dr. Teeth and with Janice and even Zoot and Lips.
Yeah.
That you couldn't go before. I mean, even Zoot has depth to him now.
And a talking shoe.
And a talking shoe. And telekinesis.
Yes.
And I saw something some time ago when the first time I saw Peter Linz doing Lips and he was doing the mumbling thing, and I thought, oh, I don't know if this is going to work. This is going to be a tough sell. And it worked, and it was so funny. I mean, they found really, really fun stuff to do with Lips, and they kept it. He did a good job of keeping the mumbling that when you needed to understand Lips, you could.
Yes.
Or he could at least convey the idea if he didn't convey what was actually being said. I thought he did a great job. So I love the fact that Lips, this was another thing where they had me at hello, because in that original press release, they included Lips.
Well, I remember you being very excited about that. How much, I forgive me, because I don't know how much they used him before to know how much of a base did they have to work with for that character.
Virtually never. Almost virtually Lips appeared. He appeared the first time Lips appeared. He was in the 5th season of the Muppet Show. He was brought in to give Steve Whitmire a band member, because Jim did Dr. Teeth, Frank did Animal, Jerry did Floyd, Dave did Zoot, Richard did Janice. Steve was up and coming into his own and starting to do characters, and they're like, you need a member of the band, and they gave him this trumpet player. He appears in The Great Muppet Caper. He's got one line kind of off camera when they pick up Kermit and Piggy and John Cleese's house. And they've got, let's hit the road. And Lips says, let's have a little, I can't remember, did he say, there are 3 lines there. One of them says, let's hit the road. Somebody says, let's have a little traveling music. And then Janice says, for sure, a love song. And I can't remember. Lips is one of the two. Either says, let's hit the road, or let's have a little traveling music. I can't remember which off the top of my head. And that's pretty much all Lips ever said. He's in Great Muppet Caper a little bit. He's not in Muppets Take Manhattan, other than he's in the wedding scene at the end. He's in the crowd in Muppet Christmas Carol. He's not in Treasure Island. He's not in Muppets from Space. Lips was always just sort of a glorified background character, and even that's glorified.
Yeah.
Couldn't even call him a glorified. He's literally a D-list character.
And now he has a TED Talk.
Yeah, and now he's got a TED Talk. So there was a lot of room there, and I was kind of curious what they were going to do, because I think this is kind of known that Steve Whitmire no longer works for Disney and no longer does Muppets. And Peter Linz is doing most of the characters that Steve did, if not all of the characters that Steve did. So I was kind of curious, like, what are they going to do with this? How is this going to work? And Peter's got a character. Peter's got a thing. Oh, and I'm sorry, Lips did sing on the Muppet. They did a song called Barnyard Boogie in the Shirley Bassey episode of the Muppet Show. They did a song called Barnyard Boogie, and Lips sings a line of the song in that. That's the only time he ever really did anything. So yeah, it was great to see this character evolve and be a fun character too.
Yeah.
Really, really funny. I said this to you. Zoot was so hysterical.
Zoot was hilarious.
Zoot stole the show.
Zoot was fantastic.
Zoot almost stole the show from Animal. Got more laughs than Animal, but you could see Dave Goelz having fun.
Yes.
Really having fun and enjoying this. And I'm sure there's a lot of stuff there that was not, was probably Dave in the moment, or,
What was the question?
What? All the stuff with the Get Back parody they did, where they're doing the documentary, and he's like, "Who will play me?"
Yeah.
Elvis Presley should play me. He's dead.
What?
When?
Morgan Freeman comes in.
Yeah, Morgan Freeman is going to play Zoot. That's another one. Like, how did you get
Morgan Freeman? How did you get him to agree to dress as? And how do you shoehorn him in?
This 5-minute bit.
All right, Mr. Freeman. So let me paint it out. Here's the picture for you. We're gonna paint you blue, put a wig on you.
We're gonna put a wig on you.
And you're auditioning for the part of one of the Muppets. That's your.
That's great. That's one of my. That's for me the episode that, like, if I were showing this to somebody who did not know anything about the Muppets and didn't know anything about the Electric Mayhem, that's where I'd bring them in. Like, just watch this episode, because that's the one that to me stands on its. It's a clear parody of Get Back, and it sort of stands on its own the best. But that's a great episode.
Emily, do you have a favorite episode?
Oh gosh.
That's not my favorite, but it's just the one I think.
Right.
Shoot.
Or one of the ones that like just really stands out to you.
Dang it. I don't really have a good memory when it comes to episodes.
Her brain is.
I have to watch it multiple
She's
times
a zombie.
before I know anything.
Well, it takes a lot of work to get a school dance.
It does.
It does. What was in episode 6?
That's Dr. Teeth's parents, son.
Right. Episode 3 was the animal one.
Yeah.
I liked episode 3. Episode 3 was good.
That's the one where Animal quits the band.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
And of course,
that was good.
The finale.
The finale was good. I cheered twice during the finale.
Only twice?
But this is going into spoiler territory. This is heavy spoiler territory.
Well, we're in spoiler territory. We're okay. I rang the spoiler cluster bell.
The animal falls through the roof to get the band back. The animal takes things into his own hands to get the band back together. And as soon as he fell through the roof in Floyd's office, I'm like, oh, this is how they're going to do this. It's just Animal going along, grabbing everybody and being like, come on, you're coming.
Yes.
I just
with one word.
Yeah, right.
Aura.
God. Ludo, friend.
Wrong movie.
Oh, sorry. But it's that same sort of like just and giving Animal something to do story-wise, makes him part of the story, which was one of the things I liked. Which was one of the things I liked in Muppets Most Wanted, was that Animal, they found something. Animal had played a part in this story and wasn't just there for comic relief.
No.
To give Animal something to do.
Part of the reason why I like that one better than the one that came before it.
Yeah. And then the other thing that I cheered, and because I saw this coming, when she goes, the van has been stolen in episode 8, and they need the van, and Penny says to them, haven't you guys checked the garage? As soon as that garage opened and you saw them standing in the doorway, I knew what was in that garage.
And it wasn't the van.
Nora's standing by the side of the road, and she looks, and you just see this thing coming up the road. I'm like, yes, do it. Yep. That better be what I think it is. And sure enough.
Especially, and I loved how they planted the seed for that few episodes back.
With them stealing with him stealing his parents' bus. And
Yes.
I'm so ashamed of myself. I needed my son to explain to me the joke, the Molar Express. Not explain it to me, but point out the play on the Molar Express. I'm like, my son is like, hey, Dad, that's funny. And I'm like, is it? Oh, yeah, it is. Yeah, I said, Emily's staring at me, which makes for great radio, by the way.
Yes.
Yeah.
A blank stare. It translates very well on an audio podcast.
That was the other point where I cheered. Yeah.
It's all off track.
Yep.
You messed with
So are
it.
we.
19. Stop touching it.
20.
This is where you marked it. It's at 19. Stop touching
No, I
it.
marked it at like 86.
Are we to start the 3-hour finale yet?
Yes.
Oh, yeah!
Well, no, because he mentioned the 3-hour finale, and then we were talking about the clicker. So that's two separate conversations. She threw the clicker!
Every time I say I'm going to keep track, every time I
Woohoo!
say, congrats, you completely derailed the show, Dad.
Woohoo!
No one expects the Spanish Inquisition.
That took...
I understood that reference.
That took me almost an hour to do. That took a lot longer than I thought it would.
49 minutes.
I'm off my game.
Yeah, you
It's been
are.
a few episodes.
Yeah. So what were we talking about? Is this the part where we talk about? Is this where we talk about Ming-Na Wen's star on the Hawk of Fame?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
I was very happy about her. It just before her, Carrie Fisher.
Yeah. Episode 6 was my favorite episode. The one with Dr. Teeth's parents, I thought was really. But no, to get back, you were talking about episode 3, and that was I love. Like I said, that was the one where
Exiled on Main Street.
Yeah, that gave a lot of depth to Floyd and Animal's relationship.
Yeah.
And that him, and then to do the flashback, and then to come out of that flashback and have
Still in it.
no, that's episode 6.
I know.
To do the flashback to him finding Animal on the front porch, and then almost immediately following that with her showing up on their front porch alone.
Yes.
And then an Animal comes out and says "keep," which is the word that's written on his cage. I thought that was really, really good. That was really, really beautifully done. And again, just for me, made Floyd all that more real. But then episode 6, the one with Dr. Teeth's parents, is my favorite. It, again, gives depth to Floyd, gives depth to Teeth, and is just wickedly funny on top of all that. I love when he says, the next phase is an extremely abrupt flashback. And before he can finish it, they go into the flashback. I thought,
Yes,
great gag. That's a gag worthy of Jerry Jewell. I mean, really, that's
give me a quick flash
gag, right?
It's not his, mine.
And then the other thing, but that flashback was long. Yeah, Zoot's still in it.
And see, that's the kind of stuff that I really loved. It was just like this really random lines that came out to just point out just this nonsensical stuff.
Yeah.
And they started off at the beginning of it too, where Nora's driving through, and she's ordering stuff at the drive-through, and she's like, "Well, I'm a big music executive," or she's arguing the lyrics to "Rock and Roll All Night"
Right.
with the guy. He's like, "But do you really know this?" And it's like, "I'm a big music executive." "Yes, I could tell by your car." And she's driving a Daewoo, which they haven't made in years. So it's like they really start, pointing out things that aren't supposed to make sense, which makes it even funnier.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh.
You got a question? You got something you want to ask?
Well, no. I'm trying to think which, like the animal one.
Do you have a favorite? Your favorite?
Or the ones that like stuck out. The one with, I forget which episode it is, where that had Nora and Hannah fighting each other.
Is that episode? Is that? What? That might be that same. Yeah, that's that same episode.
I think it's
It's that same episode. Yeah. The one where Animal runs away is the same episode where Hannah and Nora are fighting. It is. We just broke Emily.
Very tired.
You want to go to bed? You can go to bed.
No, I don't want to go to bed. I'm doing a puzzle.
Oh, okay.
I'm glad that you brought something to occupy yourself while she was on the podcast.
What? When?
Did you put in your other pants? Now we're recycling jokes.
Yeah. Yeah, that was. I mean, like that's the great thing. All the Easter eggs in this show. Talk about recycling jokes. So I love that animal. I love when animals. That was. Oh my god, that's such a funny sequence when Animal is giving her presents in the second episode. When Animal is giving her presents of affection. First of all, the fact that he holds up the scuba gear and calls them slippers. He holds up the swim fins and calls them slippers. I thought was funny, and then he holds up the baseball diamond, which was a nice throwback.
Yes.
Not Christmas Carol, to Great Muppet Caper.
Okay.
And then offers her surgery. I thought was great. I love the opening, and then the cold opening where they're singing all of the I think it's episode 4 where they're singing all of the public domain songs. It shows them like driving across country singing public domain songs.
Yes.
And then they start talking about what we should sing next. It was like the Beatles, Jimi Hendrix, Queen. And Dr. T's like, yeah, we can absolutely afford to sing that stuff here in the privacy of our own van. And they all look at the camera.
That's funny.
But that's what I'm talking about. It's stuff like that where they call out the gag.
Right. Which is, that sort of Muppet sort of breaking the fourth wall.
Right.
Yeah.
There was another moment. It's stuff that shouldn't happen or makes perfect sense. Like when the van breaks down in the middle of the highway and there is miles and miles of traffic, and they decide, oh, let's just put on a concert here. And the police officer walks up to him and you're like, he's going to give him a hard time. He's going to, haul him off to jail. He's going to do something. And it's just that complete 180. He goes, oh, make sure you do this song.
Yeah, right. Do you take requests?
But again, I'm just like working in the songs just so, again, organically, naturally.
Right.
The first one where they work in the Joe Cocker song, which they kind of write the story base for that episode around, and it just plays out so well. Now I lost both Leonards.
So, no, I'm good. I'm here.
You're doing my puzzle.
I think those two pieces go together.
Stop doing my puzzle.
Those two pieces don't go together. I'll stop doing that. What were we talking about? No.
Add.
What? What happened to the clicker?
I threw it.
Oh, she threw the clicker.
I did.
Why would you throw the clicker at the cat?
I didn't throw it at the cat.
She threw the cat.
No!
Don't throw the cat at the clicker.
Don't throw the cat.
Cat at the clicker.
Don't throw the cat at the clicker. What'd that cat ever do to you?
Oh. What was that? Was it your glasses? Those were your glasses fell.
My glasses just fell off my head.
Cool.
You need to take lessons from Dr. Teeth and how to properly keep your glasses on at all times.
See, those two pieces go together.
Stop doing my puzzle.
I'm sorry. I'll stop doing your puzzle. I think those two pieces go together.
Stop doing my puzzle.
Fine. I will stop doing your puzzle.
All right, next. Okay.
What?
Favorite track from the album?
Oh gosh. No fair.
Yes.
Hello, Google.
I bought the album. It's inside. I have it. It's beautiful. I don't have anything to listen. I don't know. It's, God, I mean, Can You Picture That? I love the fact that they've added a sax solo to Can You Picture That? And I love that it's actually, I was convinced there's a track that they've been using. There's a recording of Can You Picture That they've been using for the last 6 or 7 years, which they used at Outside Lands back in 2016. And there's a video there's like a sing-along video on YouTube you can find. I think it's on might be on one of the DVDs too. And I was convinced like, oh, they're just going to use that same track over again. But no, it's a completely different track. It's a completely different arrangement. Yep. So I was very pleased that they went the extra mile to just completely redo Can You Picture That? Completely.
With all the current players.
Yeah. Well, there's like the track they've been using. There's a track they've been using with all of the current players.
Oh, okay.
That I thought they'll just recycle that onto the album. They'll just make that commercially available. And like, no, it's a completely different track than the one they've been using for the last 6 or 7 years. So I was pleasantly surprised by that. Favorite? Oh gosh, I don't know. Probably.
If you don't know, I know.
Okay, what do you got?
I like Bridge Over Troubled Water.
That's what I was gonna say.
That's my favorite.
I was actually going to say that one myself.
I'm not surprised because
Jerry's vocals. No, Matt's
originally
vocals.
it was written by Paul Simon, and I love Paul Simon.
Simon and Garfunkel.
Beautiful music.
Yeah.
I would say it's probably one of my favorite renditions of it.
Yeah.
It just sounds, it's different than how I've ever heard it before, but it's so beautifully performed.
And I thought, True Colors is just beautiful.
Yes, True Colors is awesome.
Yeah, another favorite of mine. And it just, there's so much emotion behind it. And it's like you could take these songs, if you play for someone who doesn't know the Muppets, they're not going to realize that it's someone doing a voice.
Yeah.
Oh, here's a question I had for you.
Yes.
How big is the Janice?
I did not put two pieces together in Emily's puzzle, if she asks, while she was in the other room. What? How big is Janice's what?
The puppet, because I always pictured him to be about yay big, but whenever she was laying down next to Nora, her head was bigger than...
Great measurement to use on radio, but yay big. People
okay, about maybe,
no.
You know...
And I can only see about
12 to 13 inches.
But what?
About maybe what?
She's about the same size as Kermit, maybe a little bit taller than Kermit.
Okay, so yeah, I was going about figuring about Kermit's size, but whenever there's that one scene she's talking to Nora and she lays down next to her, her physical head was almost the same size as the actress's head.
Yeah, I mean, Muppet heads are bigger than you think they are. I mean, Elmo's head is pretty big.
Well, we all knew that.
No, but like if you hold Elmo next to like a human head, you get a really dark episode of Sesame Street.
Dad! Why? Starting to understand why they made you two live in just different states.
Nightmare on Sesame Street.
Can you imagine whatever we did live in the same state?
That got really dark.
Dad, PG-13.
It is. But no, like Muppet heads are bigger than you think. I mean, if you think of the, my hand is almost the size of Emily's head. I mean, no, seriously, it's.
And then you put all the foam around it, yeah.
Foam on it, yeah. Muppet heads are bigger than they are. Muppet heads are bigger than you think they are.
All right, yeah, because it just you don't get that perspective too often, where you literally have, a human head and the Muppet head laying next to each other, for a decent comparison.
Right.
And I was very impressed. They built the full size marionettes for them to use, which they used in the opening number. But they used them throughout that whole series. I mean, they got a lot of use out of those.
Those aren't really marionettes. They're
Well,
a Boon Raku style.
You would know better than I.
Yeah, I would. Sorry, that was. Yeah, no, it's more of a Boon Raku style where they're still working it from below and behind. They're just green screened. They've just gotten a lot better at green screening puppeteers out.
Yes.
Yeah, you can now do things with Muppets digitally. You can do things with Muppets that Jim couldn't do 30 years ago, which is really exciting.
But yeah, they used them quite a bit, and it just gave it more of a natural feel that you're not always just seeing it, from the waist up.
But I was also thrilled to see new characters. Like, they did something that's very hard to do, which is they introduced new characters into the Muppet pantheon. And funny characters too. I thought Penny is a great character, and I can't wait to see her again. I think Dr. Teeth's parents are kind of a one-off. They've told that story, and it's kind of done there. You might have something further down the road. But
yep.
Waxman is a great character and a beautiful puppet. I can't wait to see that character again. Do more with that character. And that's a character that you can bring back, and she doesn't necessarily have to be Dr. Teeth's girlfriend. There are ways to utilize that puppet and utilize that character that don't necessarily have to do with the mayhem.
Right.
I'm hoping that if they do a second season, I'd love to see them bring some of the other Muppets in. I'd like to see Scooter. I'd like to see Rolf. I'd like to see Kermit. But, also do it in a way that's not necessarily... It's a tough thing to do because you want to make sure that you stay organic to that world. You don't want to just bring in Kermit for the sake of bringing in Kermit. You have a story reason for Kermit being there.
Yeah, but to your point, one that they could have just easily put in the background, and it would have been a nice little nod, would have been Pops.
Yeah, or Scooter.
Yeah. So that would have been just an easy. Pops could have been in the background of the record studio.
Yeah.
Or something.
Pops could have been the guy in the 8th episode when they're doing the virtual reality thing.
Yeah. Yes.
Place to use Pops.
Yeah, that was a trippy one.
Yeah.
I was a little surprised. I thought there was a missed opportunity in that episode, or it's the last episode where Floyd is doing they're all off doing their things, and Floyd has that assistant. I'm like, why didn't they use one of the puppeteers as his assistant? Had Leslie as the assistant?
Right. Yeah,
I thought that was kind of a little lost opportunity there.
I was about to say something. I completely forgot what I was going to say. Yeah, because we're watching your puzzle. No, what was I going to say? Something you were talking about missed opportunities. God,
bringing the performers into the.
No, I remember. I was a little disappointed. Kind of. I liked it the first time. I was a little disappointed on rewatching the last episode. I got just very tired of Nora's defeatist attitude. Okay, I'm in, no, I'm out. No, I'm in, no, I'm out.
Yeah.
And I was like,
yeah,
we've seen that. We're done with that now. We've done that. Which I didn't mind it the first time I watched the episode, but watching the episode a second time, I was like, no, she needs to. Yeah.
It did fizzle a little bit in that last episode. It was almost one episode too long in some ways.
Right. But I don't know. I couldn't. There's not a moment or an episode that I would cut in there anywhere.
Yeah.
No. Like I said, not necessarily eliminating the whole episode, but maybe stitching it to the episode before it, and making that just a much longer episode.
Yeah.
It might have flowed a little better.
So that was when I was taking points off before. That was one of my points. And then the other problem I had with the series was episode 5 I thought, which is the one where they go out into the desert and they eat the marshmallows. I had a small problem there in that, like, band has a problem. They solve their problem by, let's call it what it is in the episode.
Yeah.
Expired marshmallows.
Yeah, that's what
But
it is.
realizing that when I talk about eating expired marshmallows, we're actually talking about something else. And I'm like, I don't think this is really the message you want to be sending, guys. So I had a little bit of a problem with that. Other than that, the episode itself was funny, and there was some really cool stuff in there, and you did some really weird stuff with Zoot.
Yeah, that was the most interesting part. He never partaked in the marshmallows, yet all of his pictures were of the visions.
Yeah, and I actually love that they didn't do it all the time, but a couple over the credits of the closing credits, some of the pictures that you see are pictures that he takes during the episodes.
Right.
There's a handful I caught them like, oh, he actually took that during the episode.
Yeah, and that again, nice little touches that they did. And of course, Weird Al shows up at that point.
Yeah. First time that he had ever worked with the Muppets.
That's a shame.
Yeah. Was I going to say something else?
Oh, no.
No.
I can't read minds.
Okay.
Why not?
Emily's a little tired.
I read minds all day.
Cool.
Not actually. Just learn to read people's emotions.
I thought I had something else I was going to say about the show, but I don't think I have. We've talked about favorite episode. We've talked about favorite track on the soundtrack. We've talked about the music. We've talked about Ringo Starr being on the show.
That was something I thought was weird. So I'm listening to the soundtrack after I would listen to it before I watched the show, strangely enough, and then I'd listen to it now afterwards and realize they made this whole big thing about the Rockin' Little Robin song, basically.
And Rockin' Robin wasn't on there.
And it's not on the album.
My son voiced the exact same disappointment. He was like, "Why?" Because he's like, that was my favorite song in the whole show. Why isn't that on the album? Like, I don't know, man. You're right. They should have done that.
It's like, how do you get the rights for it for the show, but you don't? I guess you get the rights for the.
It might have been a rights issue
to produce it onto an album.
Yeah.
So yeah, that I thought that was like a weird. And then whenever they're going through the track list, they mentioned that too as part of the track list.
It's on one of her index cards.
You know, these things were in production relatively around the same time. You would think that you were known, but whatever. You know, that's all the legal end of stuff.
Who knows the reason they didn't do it? There are rumblings of a second season.
I've heard the same thing, that this is actually done very well for them.
Yeah, I'm thrilled that this is done so well for them. I'm thrilled because I've been so disappointed in the last couple Muppet projects that this one just hit each and every. It did everything it was supposed to do. It did everything it was supposed to do.
After our conversation about it, I actually spoke to my film teacher about it. I asked him if he'd seen it yet. No, he hasn't seen it. And I said, I was talking to my friend who's also really big into the Muppets, and we both agreed that this is probably one of the best things that they have done. It's been written for the Muppets and that they have done in the longest time. And I think we both agreed on probably since Christmas Carol. Have they done something of this level between the writing, the production, the whole package?
The acting, the performances.
Like when the announcement came out about the show, it's like, oh, the two human characters are going to be driving everything and this and that. And I'm like, oh, I don't know about that. And I'm not trying.
And I liked the human characters.
Yeah.
They weren't the most interesting characters on the show. But here's it's a challenge when you put humans with the Muppets, which is the humans have to let go. We were talking about this yesterday.
Yeah.
The humans have to let go. The humans have to realize that they are not the stars of the show. The Muppets are the stars, and you're the supporting player. And that can be hard for some actors, comedians specifically. That can be really, really hard. And it's hard to write that. You get away with it in Christmas Carol because you get away with it in Christmas Carol. You get away with it in Treasure Island. First of all, because you're working with Michael Caine and Tim Curry, both of whom know how to be ensemble players and lift a cast up and make a cast better. But when you get to something like the 2011 movie, and you've got Jason Segel writing and starring,
it's his movie.
The 2011 movie is really a Mary Sue fanfic, you know?
Yep.
It's a Mary Sue fanfic for Muppets, which is a really weird sentence. And it just doesn't work. Not that I have anything against Jason Segel, but he just takes too much away from, there's too much focus on him and his story, and it doesn't quite work. This is there, but you can't, they walked a fine line, because you can't have Nora and Moog be dull and boring wallflowers. You've got to give them something to do. You've got to give them stakes in this. Otherwise, what's the point of having them there? And really, the point of having them there is because if you don't have them there, the band is too... Somebody's got to be the voice of reason. Somebody's got to be the smart one in the room. Somebody's got to be, the
more grounded.
Yeah, there you go. The more grounded. To help drive it, because the band is not going to drive it. You've already proven the whole idea is that they have a very short attention span, and it's not that the characters are stupid, but they're not focused, so you need someone there to focus them. So you need the humans there to do that, but you can't, at the same time, you can't have the characters be so interesting that they steal the focus away from the band. It's a tightrope that you have to walk. And I thought they walked it for the most part pretty well. You could have done without the love story, maybe. I think that could have gone to the side.
Yeah, that kind of felt.
That felt a little tacked on, I thought.
Yes.
Emily's looking at me. What? You said something at the top of the show. Come on, let's spill.
Okay,
what was your teenage?
Spill it. Yeah. What was the teenage?
For?
Second thought.
My teenage thing that I knocked off points for is the love triangle.
Oh.
I did like it.
Oh.
Because I'm a lovesick teenager and I love romance triangles. But I really, really wish that Nora and Moog had more time to actually develop feelings.
Right. You want to see them. You don't want to see them get together in season 1. You want to see them get together in season 2.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. I can feel that.
All right. Yeah.
I can feel that.
I want to see them get together.
I can picture that.
I'm unsatisfied if they don't.
Yeah.
Because they're very.
I saw what you did there. That was good. That was
very
good. That was very well done.
They are very cute together.
Yeah, they are a very cute couple together. They are. They do. They work well together. The two actors.
They did have good chemistry. And like you said, the three main humans really walked a fine line, but I didn't feel overly distracted by them. The Hannah a little bit towards the end, whenever she was doing that whole stuff with Animal and his social media thing.
But I thought that gave her something fun to do.
Well, yes, it expanded her character. So that it wasn't bad. I'm just saying, it's like, oh, okay, suddenly she became a little more of a bigger character.
Right.
Actually, I thought that whole thing wherever they gave them all cell phones.
Yeah.
And interesting. What if this happened? And and where they went with all that. I thought was an interesting premise.
Yeah.
I love Lips answering the phone by saying "mana mana."
Hmm.
I thought that was nice. I thought that was a nice
Do-do-do.
touch. Really, G.
Do-do-do.
Sorry.
And
Where's
technical working of him with the eyes I thought was really cool too.
I'm sorry, what was whose eyes? What?
Lips.
Oh yeah. In episode 5 when his eyes go what?
Yeah, but just in general as he talked, they twist.
Oh yeah, that's always been there. That's always been on the puppet. It's such a subtle thing though, but yeah, he's always had that.
But like you said, we get a lot more of this character now, so it really gets, Peter had a real chance to make it more, help convey the character's thoughts and stuff.
Right. Here's something I want to talk about. Let's talk about something completely different that's still the same thing.
Works for me. Emily,
we could
down another.
No, this is good.
I've thrown the clicker across the room.
No, this is good.
No more counting.
This is something because I don't think this is addressed enough when people talk about the Electric Mayhem. And I think we should be the first ones to discuss this. Can we talk just for a second about the Electric Mayhem as style icons?
Yes.
Sure.
I love the way these characters are dressed.
Yeah.
I mean, I probably wouldn't dress like Dr. Teeth. That's a little over the top for me. But
I would.
There are a couple episodes there where I'm like watching like Floyd and Zoot and Lips, and I'm like really jealous of their wardrobe.
Yeah. Like,
how does Floyd? It makes me sad that a Muppet dresses better than me. Like there are a couple looks there that Lips and Floyd and like all of them really.
Janice as well.
And Dr. Teeth a little less so, but the other characters they're really well dressed.
They have a gorgeous.
Yeah.
And even Dr. Teeth in a couple of them is, like they know how to dress these characters. I have always liked, if you go back to the outfit that Floyd wears in sort of Great Muppet Caper and Muppets Take Manhattan, where he's got like the black turtleneck and then like the red jacket over it and a pair of jeans. And I've always just thought like Floyd looks so cool dressed like that.
Yeah.
Lips, another one too. Lips walking around in a Zoot suit. And he looks great. And then you see some of the other suits that Zoot walks around in. He just looks really Zoot's a good dresser. Lips is a good dresser.
Yeah.
Janice is a good dresser.
Oh, that goes without saying.
I gotta look. I don't know if that's I'm wondering if that's Polly Smith, because Polly Smith has always done costumes for the Muppets. And I've said this multiple times on the show. It was the moment I gave up on the Academy Awards was when Polly Smith didn't get nominated for Muppet Christmas Carol. That was the moment I stopped caring about award ceremonies altogether because it was such a crime.
Yeah, because they snubbed the Muppets for it.
I don't know who designed the costumes on this, but they did a fantastic job. You guys
yeah.
Googling it now for me. Thank you.
Yeah,
it might not be a costume designer. It might be somebody for Muppet
Muppet Studios.
It might be somebody from Puppet Heap who does the costuming.
Not Mullets Mayhem. Muppets Mayhem.
My phone has done that to me too, where it's auto-corrected, and I tell you.
No, it didn't auto-correct. I just misclicked when typing, and then it didn't auto-correct.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
It auto-correctified.
There we go.
And insulted all of Emily's followers.
I don't have.
I was just gonna go there myself.
Thank you. Bringing it back around, bringing it real.
Great, all the Swifties are gonna come.
The little monsters. And oh my God, I love the joke. The Natalie Merchant Marines.
Yes.
Carrie Smith.
Okay.
No clue who that is.
I don't know.
But she did great job.
Yeah.
But again, see, I don't know. I'd be curious. I'll have to look it up later because I don't know if that could be actual costume design. Your costume design for Muppets might be uncredited there, but we'll have to look into that. I don't know.
It's possible.
Or might actually be somebody from the workshop from Puppet Heap.
But at the same token,
I have friends I could ask about that.
He's got friends at Felt Places.
Yes.
All the different style of Electric Mayhem shirts that they had all the stand-ins wearing.
Sorry, we got distracted. A Domino's
Pulling
car
into our
just pulled up.
driveway.
It's 12:30 in the morning, and a Domino's car just pulled up and backed into our driveway and then drove off. Wait,
No!
bring us a pizza.
I want
No!
Bring us a pizza.
Domino's pizza has such good crust.
Domino's pizza. You know what I like? I like.
You need to get back to New Jersey pizza.
I like cold Domino's pizza. I like day old Domino's pizza.
No. I
Yeah.
don't like cold pizza.
No, that is
Yes.
Domino's. No, I agree with you for the most part, but Domino's pizza is way better cold than it is warm.
Which
Agreed.
isn't saying much, but yes.
Yeah. I like my cardboard cold, not warm. What were we talking about before the pizza got shipped? Or the pizza? Somebody knows. We were talking.
I was bringing up all the variety of Mayhem shirts that the stand-ins were wearing during the concert scenes.
And Moog wears a Mayhem shirt in every episode.
Yes. It's a different one, each one.
Yeah. My son got really excited because I had there's a shirt I have that has the Electric Mayhem logo, and Moog it's whatever it is, it's like episode 5 or 6. Moog is wearing that, and my son was watching the show with me. He got really excited, and he's like, "Dad, he's got your shirt!" I'm like, yes, I know, thank you.
And I wore it first.
Yes, I wore it better. I'll tell a quick Mayhem story. I was wearing that shirt. I was on vacation in Cape Cod 2 years ago. When we did we recorded the episode.
Yes.
I was on vacation in Cape Cod, and I was wandering around Provincetown, and I had my Dr. Teeth and the Electric Mayhem shirt on. And this guy walks past me. I was in a shop somewhere, and this guy looked at me and he goes, "Hey, is that a good band?" And I went, "That's the best band ever." And I'm like, how brilliant is that logo design that somebody looks and goes, "Oh, that's the name of a band." Obviously, there was nothing on there that indicated it was a band. It could have been just about anything. But this guy was able to read into it and be like, "That's a band. How are they any good?" And I'm like, "It's the best band ever. You should check them out." And now they've got an album and you can check them out. That's really cool.
Took them this long, but they finally got that album.
Been a long road, baby.
Great album at that. Even the original songs are really good.
Yeah. See, and this is where I admit that I did not do my homework, because I've been saying to Emily all week, I should look up and see whether they're this, which I honestly don't know. Some of the songs I don't know if they're covers or if they're original.
I assume there's a certain, obviously Rock On's their original.
Rock On is an original. The song from the Floyd and Dr. Teeth song, Gotta Be Me, is obviously original.
Gotta Be Me is original.
Joined Together is a cover. Believe in Me is a cover. Or no, Have a Little Faith in Me is a cover.
Have a Little Faith in Me is a cover.
Believe in Me is the one I can't figure out if that's
Believe in Us.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that is original, but let me.
I don't know.
Google.
Bridge Over Troubled Water is a cover. Obviously, True Colors is a cover. I'd say, Can You Picture That as a cover? Sort of. Maybe.
Covering their own song.
Covering their own song.
Can you do that? Can you cover your own song?
When you're the Muppets? Yes. Actually, no, there's some bands. There's some bands who have done that.
Yeah.
Paul Simon's done that. Blues Traveler's done that.
Oh.
Bon Jovi's done that.
Where they just reinvented. Yeah, there's I can't remember the name of I can't remember the names of the two albums. But Paul Simon did an album about 5 years ago. He released an album that was covers of maybe about a dozen of his songs, just kind of reimagined. And then Blues Traveler did one in 2008 or so, where they covered a bunch of their own, about 12 songs that they just reinvented and covered. You okay over there? You're falling apart.
Yeah, I thought in my puzzle, I thought something was hair. It's Wolverine's claws.
Oh, okay.
It's not Storm's hair.
Okay.
Okay, Molly.
There's a couple of songs that come up by that name, but I don't think it's It just happens to have the same name.
We Are One. I can't figure out if that's a cover or an original.
All right. The 3 songs I just listened to, none of them are that same song. We Are One.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, I want to say that's an original because I know of a song, We Are One, but it is a completely different song.
Oh, this.
I'm finding a We Are One, but that's not this.
Yeah. Yeah, it's from the One World Cup.
Yeah. And apparently there's a song called We Are One from Lion King 2.
Yes. I saw that one. Yes, there is.
All right, so, yeah. What else can we say about the show other than watch it if you haven't watched it already? And if you haven't watched it already, why are you listening to us? You should have watched the show because now we've spoiled everything for you, and I'm terribly sorry. Not really. You were warned at the beginning of the show. Emily's doing a puzzle, and Matt's stuck on his phone trying to find out what's real and what isn't.
No, I'm falling apart.
Maybe Emily should go to bed.
No!
Oh, I'm sorry. Wow.
Emily's gonna finish the podcast.
Okay.
Yeah, so okay, We Are One. Yeah, Ringo Starr is on the drums. Written by Linda Perry.
Okay.
Anyone know who Linda Perry is?
Wife of Bob.
She
she
actually has she's written songs for Christina Aguilera, Alicia Keys, Four Non Blondes, Gwen Stefani, the Chicks. I guess the Dixie Chicks, Weezer,
Formerly known as Dixie Chicks.
Yep. Pink, Dolly Parton, Alicia Keys, Adam Lambert, Ashley Simpson, Miley Cyrus, Celine Dion.
She's got some
Nice.
She's got some street cred.
Impressive.
Yeah.
Resume.
So she's she's been around.
Yeah.
She's done a few things.
Do you think the goat should have been a puppet?
Yes.
No.
No?
No.
See, I'm undecided myself.
I think it's funnier that it was an actual goat.
Goat. And yet, I think they could have done more with it had it been a puppet.
Like the rabbits.
Like the rabbits. I loved the Peter Jackson cameo. That's probably one of my favorite Muppet
Yes.
cameos ever.
That was,
Just randomly shows up. Okay, we're going to do this.
I don't do movies. I do
Trilogies.
Jeez.
Like that animal calls him Precious.
Yes.
That was good.
And that they make a reference to Meet the Feebles.
Oh, jeez.
You should not know what Meet the Feebles is.
What's Meet the Feebles,
We'll
Dad?
talk when you're older.
What was the other one we were trying to figure out?
I don't know.
Believe in Us. Okay.
What is life?
Believe in me. Believe in us. Oh, sorry, I'm yawning.
Credits. Who wrote that? Brian. I cannot pronounce these names. Pakropal. Packley Lemonholm. What?
I like to put a little lemon home in my tea.
You too, huh?
Yeah.
Especially when my voice is going.
Mm.
And it's just the same people that wrote it are the same people that did the instruments on it and produced it.
Then it's probably an original song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And sang in it too. Or did the chorus work on it, I mean.
Sure. So that's Muppets Mayhem. Watch it. It's good.
It's good.
Absolutely watch it. I've been going to anyone. I'm like, you like the Muppets? Yes.
Watch.
You must watch this.
It really is my favorite thing the Muppets have done in a number of years. It felt so good to be a Muppet fan again. And for the first time ever, I'm eager for more.
I really would like to see where they can go with this and not rushed. Like if it takes another year to produce a second season, I will gladly wait that year and a half.
Right.
Just so that way we get it right. We don't get something rushed and mass produced. You know, kind of like how The Mandalorian, you know, it's like 2 years between seasons, because that's just how long it's going to take us. Whatever you need to get this kind of level, this kind of quality, whatever you need.
Yeah, and I hope it kind of sets. I think it also sort of it changes what a Muppet show can be. It doesn't have to be. You can now. There's an avenue of storytelling now where you can do something with the Muppets that isn't a comedy variety show. You don't have to do the Muppet Show, you know,
right,
or compete with the Muppet Show. Nor does it have to be a parody of a classic story. It doesn't have, you know, you don't have to do Christmas Carol, Treasure Island type thing, or Muppets Haunted Mansion. You know, you can. It changes the kinds of. It's a different kind of story. I've never seen the Muppets do this kind of storytelling, or this kind of storytelling done with the Muppet characters. And that's really exciting to me.
And it was legitimately its own thing. It wasn't, like you said, a parody or based on like the ABC Muppet show.
Other than the one episode, which is very clearly a parody of Get Back,
right?
Which, like I said at the top of the show, was delightful. Which was so funny and so well done, and crammed full of Beatles references. That is one of my favorite episodes in the series, you know, and that's okay. But right, it's not like you're doing like Haunted Mansion or Christmas Carol or Treasure Island where you're trying to set it to a story. It's its own thing.
Right, or I would say the ABC Muppet series,
right,
where it was kind of like, okay, this is the modern style of telling a story. This is what Modern Family does and The Office does. We're going to base it off The Office, so it's the Muppets doing The Office, basically.
Right. And I thought it was interesting because I felt like what they tried to do, one of the things they tried to do with the 2015 series is that they were trying to make it part of the idea where was to do like, what are these characters like away from their jobs? What it's like for them, you know, when they're at home. And I think they kind of failed at that on the 2015 series. It didn't quite, nothing ever really rang true to the characters. They tried to make them edgy rather than true to who they were, in my opinion. But this was absolutely, this did what they were trying to do, which is, this is who the band is when they're away from Kermit and Fozzie and the others.
Which is what I thought was interesting when they did the whole cell phone bit.
Right.
Was that, okay, we've taken it outside of being away from the others. Now we're going to take them away from themselves.
Right.
And go from there. So yeah, all in all, a solid series, a home run.
Yeah, and I'm hopeful that I know that part of the sort of behind the scenes backstory here is that Jeff Yorks and Adam Goldberg, who are the other two producers on the series, were friends in college, were friends at NYU. And just as a sort of writing experiment back in the day, they would do these little pitches. They would put together, a 10 episode Pigs in Space or 10 episode Muppets thing. And the sort of backstory here is that at a point in time, Jeff Yorks cut together a trailer for what an Electric Mayhem series could be. He and Adam Goldberg sort of came up with a couple of basic ideas, pitched it to Muppet Studios, and the producer they were talking to kind of went, oh, when I'm done, the next meeting I'm doing is actually with Bill Beretta to talk about an Electric Mayhem series. May I show him this trailer? And they were like, yes, absolutely. And that got the ball rolling. So I'm kind of hopeful that, yes, absolutely. Not only do we see a Muppets Mayhem season 2, but why can't we do like a 10-episode Pigs in Space thing?
I would love that.
Or why can't we do maybe like a 5-episode Vet's Hospital or something with Bunsen and Beaker, or there's a lot of avenues here that we can now start to explore. This changes what you can do with the Muppets. This changes how you tell a story with the Muppets, and I'm very excited by that, and I'm very excited to see what they do next and if they can maintain this sort of level of quality. Yeah. It's the best that I've seen them do in a long, long time, and I was thrilled to see it again, and I hope we see it again.
Speaking of Pigs in Space, someone was another podcast I listened to. Len Testa mentioned what they should do with the now closing Star Cruiser resort in Disney World. It's give it a Pigs in Space overlay.
Absolutely. That's my next vacation sorted.
No, we're going to the Universal place.
What place? I did that Dark Land, or the Shadowland on the other side there.
Yeah.
I just half the stuff there now is Disney property.
I would go to a Pigs in Space themed. That would be great. Did you catch that the Pigs in Space, the swine trek actually is slipped into episode 5?
Yeah, Ben caught that one.
Yeah, I caught it too.
Did I?
When Lips is staring at the stars, and it says "Save the World, Lips," you can just make out the swine trek flies by.
I saw something flying by, but I didn't realize it was that.
Look in the left-hand corner of the screen. The swine trek goes by. She's in the
Oh, that's fantastic.
There, she's over there. I did this puzzle recently.
That's why it's out.
Yeah. See Gambit, Storm, and then Jean Grey's over. Cyclops, and then Jean Grey's over there.
Now you got me wanting to help out with this puzzle.
Yeah.
Stop doing my puzzle.
I'm just giving you pointers before you try to fuse Jean Grey and Gambit into some unholy...
some sort of weird mutant creature.
Got the brown and the maroon.
An unholy X-Men spawn of Rage and Cajun and Phoenix anger, cosmic energy. My God.
Don't call up Ryan Reynolds.
Supposedly, now is this jumping topic or is this on topic? Supposedly,
it's her fault.
Okay.
Not my fault.
I shouldn't say anything because now we're getting into spoiler territory on something else. But supposedly Hugh Jackman is not the only familiar face we'll see in the next Deadpool movie, is what
I've heard that too. I heard that there's several familiar faces.
Some old friends might be coming back.
But it won't be the first time in a Deadpool movie for them.
No, it won't.
No. But then this is the other thing, because of the writer's strike. I read this, they're filming Deadpool 3, but because of the writer's strike, they have to adhere to the script, so Ryan Reynolds can't ad-lib or improvise.
But
I gotta...
No, he can. He can
improvise on the set, but that's really easy to go back and fix in later on.
Right, but he can make minor tweaks because he's executive producer. So with that executive producer
with great power comes
status, he does have the ability to make minor tweaks to the script.
And then to bring things back around to the Muppets, because we were talking about the writer's strike. If you're wondering why haven't I heard of this Muppets Mayhem series, why didn't Disney push this? I know this. I heard this from a friend. Is apparently they were going to push the series. They were going to be on late night on Fallon, on Kimmel, on The Daily Show. They were going to do all of the late night shows.
Circuits,
And then the writer's strike hit, and they couldn't. So
I was wondering why it's just like, why are they dropping the ball on this?
Yeah, that was not Disney and Muppets dropping the ball. That was them respecting the writers' strike, and fair play to them for that.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah,
Yeah. That being said, I'm completely okay with it. Just means we have to do our part.
Strike so that the writers can start writing season 2 of Muppets Mayhem.
There we go. Pay the people, and then let's get this done
before the directors and actors join them, which might be next.
Just pay the people.
Mm.
Solves every problem. It's simple.
And on that note,
Emily,
anything else you'd like to add?
I've almost got the outer part of my puzzle finished.
Good for you.
Excellent.
For bedtime. You said we wouldn't go till 1 o'clock in the morning, and I laughed because I've been in your shoes. Like, we'll start at like 10:30. We'll record for like an hour or so, and then I'll go to bed. I'll be in bed by 1 o'clock.
At what point have we ever this family record
Never.
only for an hour? I think maybe once.
Never. I've never done only an hour with you.
I think it's physically impossible.
I've never done only an hour with you.
No, because we're approaching. We are 60 minutes shy of 2 hours. We're at an hour and 44 minutes.
Wow. Maybe we should end this one.
I think we should put it to bed. Say goodnight, animal.
I think we should put Emily to bed.
No, now she's determined to get this puzzle done before bedtime.
No. It was just to keep me awake.
Say goodnight, Gracie.
Nora.
And if you guys both an opening like that,
Good night.
Oh! Stop!
Good night, Gracie.
I gotta figure it out. Does this?
Oh, she's got her puzzle.
Yeah!
I thought she figured out the reference.
No.
No, I don't think she knows.
You lived with your father for how long? You still haven't figured out that reference.
She doesn't know Burns and Allen. And I got news for you. It's actually not a Burns and Allen reference.
No, you've mentioned this on the
I've told before. Right, that Gracie Allen never said good night, Gracie. It was actually more Martin and Lewis did that. No, not Martin and Lewis. Who am I thinking of? Rowan and Martin on Laugh-In. That was who I'm thinking of. They did. Say goodnight, Dickie. Goodnight, Dickie.
But you said there was a something with that Grace Allen was she wasn't able to be on it.
It was after she retired. It was after she retired, and Jack did an appearance on. No, George did an appearance on Jack Benny special. And they did a Burns and Allen bit with Jack dressed as Gracie and filling in for Gracie Allen. And they ended the bit. George turns to him and says, "Say goodnight, Graham," because they knew Gracie was watching at home or would be watching at home. Jack looks at the camera and says, "Good night, Gracie," which was two things. It was one, them saying goodnight to Gracie watching at home, and two, it was just a great joke. It was a very Gracie Allen kind of joke. George says, "Say goodnight, Gracie," and Jack says, or Gracie Allen would say, "Good night, Gracie." And it absolutely burned George Burns that not only did this joke come up after Gracie had retired, like the most obvious joke in the world, they came up with after Gracie had retired, but it was what really galled him it was Jack Benny's writers who came up with that joke.
So Jack laughs while George burns.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, very good. Well done. And on that note,
And on that
I
bombshell.
think it's time to end
Good
the
night,
mayhem.
Gracie.
2, 3, 4. And on that note, I think it's time to end the mayhem.
Yes.
What should
Thank you very much.
Is there one last thing that any of us should say? I feel like there's something. Say
Emily
something.
should get the last word.
What's
I
the
should
last
get the
word?
last word.
It could be any word you want. It could be something intelligent. I don't think that's going to happen at this late hour.
But family friendly just the same.
It does have to be family friendly.
You said any word I wanted.
Except that one.
Yes, it's no teenage words.
Fork is a foreign word.
For forking.
You know what else? Love.
Duck.
Love is a 4-letter word. No, but you want something intelligent from me this late at night?
Yes.
Pi r squared sounds like area to me. If I need a circumference, I just use pi d. That's how you find the circumference and the area of a circle.
And what's the world's largest living thing?
Honey mushroom.
Very good.
And then the largest living mushroom,
The largest living marshmallow. Forgive her. She's been eating expired marshmallows.
oh no, I haven't. Don't listen to him. I'm underage.
That explains why she's hugging the cactus. I got it. And well, that's our show. Thank you for joining us, everyone. Thank you to Matt and Emily Leanord for joining us. And what did you think? We want to hear from you. What did you think of Muppets Mayhem on Disney+. Join the conversation on our Facebook page, facebook.com/WDMagicCast. Our Facebook group is facebook.com/group/WDMagicCast. On Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter, we are at WDMagicCast. And make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can catch audio versions and some other stuff on there as well. You can leave us a voice message through the Anchor app or Anchor.fm website, or record a message electronically on your smartphone, tablet, computer, device, whatever you may have, and email it to email@wdmagiccast.com. You can also email us any questions or suggestions you may have for the show as well to that same address. Links to all these are in the show notes and are on our website, which is www.wdmagiccast.com. I want to thank you for your time. You know how little time we all have, how crazy life is. The fact that we get to spend this time together truly means a lot to me. It really means a lot to us. And I cannot thank you enough. But if I could ask you, please go to Apple Podcasts, leave us a rating or review there. Really, really helps the show out. They help promote the show and tell people about the show. You can do this over at Spotify as well. Can't do that? Tell your Disney friends. Tell them in person. Tell them on social networks. Send out a link to the show that you're listening to. Tell them to check it out. Tag us in that link. This way we can say thank you in person. Well, or virtually. The more people we have join our family, the better. Walt believed in a big Disney family, and so do I. Don't forget to subscribe to the show while you're at it. This way you always know when new episodes are posted. And while you're at it, consider becoming a premium subscriber. Truly help the show out. You can do this over at anchor.fm/WDMagicCast/support. You can also check out our merchandise shop. Get yourself some fun, cool WD Magiccast stuff to show off the show and help the show out at the same time as well. Because remember, this show is brought to you by listeners like you. Whatever you're facing out there, whatever darkness, whatever troubles are weighing you down or are overtaking you, know that you do not have to do this alone. And you are special. You are worth it. You are someone that this world needs. Be your own hero. Never give up, never give in. Let your light shine for the entire world to see how wonderful and magical you truly are. Now I'd like to end this week's show with a quote from Jim Henson himself. There's a great value in being able to step back and laugh at yourself, at life, and at attitudes. Laughter helps you put everything in perspective. And you know what? There was one other one I wanted to read as well that I came upon. And kind of found this. This one also is by Jim Henson. Watch out for each other. Love everyone and forgive everyone, including yourself. Forgive your anger. Forgive your guilt, your shame, your sadness. Embrace and open up your love, your joy, your truth, and most especially, your heart. Again, that's both from Jim Henson. Thank you again for listening, everyone, and I'll see you next time.